I used to be so critical to myself, always giving myself a hard time. And I've changed that. I choose to be kinder to myself. I choose to give myself that peace and calm and give myself a choice of what I want to do. But I had a cancer diagnosis at the end of 2020. It brought up all my childhood old fears. And I was encouraged by people around me to...
Hi, Nadine. Welcome to the show today. Now, you've got quite a calming voice, and we're going to talk about what you do now. But what do I need to understand about you? Give me some background to understand what it is that you do now, or why you do what you do now.
Yeah, really lovely that you say that, Matt. Thank you so much. Yeah. People do say I've got a calming voice. I send people to sleep on purpose, not through boredom. But do you know what? I've not always been calm. I used to be a very, very stressful person. We are talking decades ago. We are talking when I lived in London. I live by the South Coast now, so things change. But I needed to find my own calmer self. And that is how my business developed. My business is Calmer Self. I help people find that calmness within themselves. And this podcast is all about balance in ambition, isn't it? And
Yes.
it's balance. It's that life work balance. It's that finding, I call it snatching a moment of calm in your busy day. We need stress. Stress can be good. I need it to get me to move sometimes, to do things. But honestly, we need to get that balance. And that's what I'm all about. So I was very, very stressed, as I say, decades ago. I did not know about anything how to look after myself. I was in a sales environment, very competitive. I was loving it, not moaning about it. But it was very, very bad for my health and my sanity. So I needed to change. So I started then to step into things that would help me find calmness in my everyday life. I was very resistant to everything because I didn't want to slow down. I didn't want to do all these
We
things.
wear that busyness a bit like a badge of honor, don't we? I'm really busy.
We do. And I was that person. I really thought, the world will stop if I take a break. The world can't manage without me. I was so full of myself and, I've got to do everything. But I was, this is a long time ago. This was back in the 80s, as I say, in a sales environment. I didn't feel I could stop. I felt that I needed to be there all the time in people's face, to be noticed and to be heard, and to, got to be honest, the money was good. That drove me as well. But I started to, as my health started to go, and as I say, my mental well-being was going. I didn't really realize, but it had such an effect on me because I wasn't looking after myself. I didn't have any balance. It was go, go, go. I didn't sleep very well. I didn't think sleep was important, to be honest.
No.
There are much more important things to do. I was socializing a lot too. My work came with socializing. I love to socialize. I was young. I thought I'd live forever. But I had to learn. And I say one of my little cliches is I've learnt the hard way, so you don't have to. So everything that I learned to help myself relax, I started with Qigong, which is a form of Tai Chi, which is gentle. I wasn't very good at sitting still and being quiet. So Qigong was moving. I call it moving meditation. And I found some peace and stillness through that. That was the start of what I stepped into. Then I went into meditation and mindfulness. Mindfulness took me years to get my head around. I didn't understand it at all. It's actually very simple. And I'm one of those natural people that wants to share. As soon as I learn something, and especially if I feel a benefit, I just want to tell the world. So I went through quite a lot of different jobs. I changed jobs all the time. Every one of them was stressful, and I was repeatedly burning myself out. And then part of my slowing down was to move, as I say, from London to the South Coast, which helped massively. But I was still working too hard. I still had that kind of need to push myself. And my last job when I was working was actually in the teaching profession. I was a nursery school teacher. And as we all know, the education system is stretched. And I was being stretched with it. So I had recognized enough about my patterns that I thought I need to get away. And the honest truth is it broke my heart to leave that profession and leave the children. I love it so much. But I needed to for myself. So I had learnt how to look after myself. And that naturally, I left without another job to go to. I'd never done that in my life. So that was quite terrifying. But it opened up, I believe the universe provides when we make space. It's something that I've learned, that peace and stillness and calm that I was stepping into, along with the terror. That's balance. It
Yeah.
was there. It brought the opportunity of my business because people wanted what I had learnt because I shared it so much with everyone. I told everyone about it. People started asking me, so my business naturally developed. And then I was in this lovely position to help people the way that I had been helped and teach them. I studied, I learned all the things that had helped me so that I could teach other people. And I still study now. We never stop doing. We learn all the time.
We never stop learning. We never stop
Yeah.
learning, and it was really interesting. There was a point you said there that you left your job, and that does create some stress, but
Mm.
often growth comes from those stressful moments. So it's always, I mean, we say balance. I don't want to be too cliche, but it's a real tough one, isn't it? And I think it's so easy to worry you're overstepping too far one way, or
Yeah.
then not know, should I be busier, should I be more stressed, do I need to calm down? Like, trying to find it is hard.
Mm. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And the majority of people that come to me, they have reached crisis point. They
Mm,
don't, and I was the same myself. I wasn't someone, no one could tell me to relax. No one could tell me to calm down. I was too busy, too important, as I say. I didn't know what being stressed felt like. That was my normal. So I
yeah,
carried on like that. And I think a lot of people are living that way, aren't they? Especially in business and especially when they run their own business. So a lot of
yeah,
people that I have helped, which I'm so grateful for, is the people that come to me when they are stressed, and admitting it and asking for help is really hard, isn't it? So when people
yes,
reach out, I'm honoured when they've reached out to me, because I know I can help them. I know I can share what I've learnt, and they will see the benefits of it. But it's just that once they open up and they realise, and that is one of the first things I teach people. I've got a 6-step method, calm self method, and the first thing I teach is how to recognise and release that stress, because people don't know what it feels like. They don't know the difference. Again, it's that balance,
yeah.
stress,
It's trying to
stress
understand
and relax.
when to take that break, isn't it? Because
Yes,
very
yeah,
often the time we need to take the break is in those stressful times. But the default for a lot of business owners when things are stressful is to knuckle down, work harder, do some longer hours, and actually it's counterproductive. But we
it,
but we
yeah,
don't know that, and we see hustle culture, and it's, I don't know whether it's just built into us, sort of from an early age. You work hard, and that's where the reward comes from. Not understanding actually the reward is often comes about from taking a break.
yes, yeah, and it's so right, and that's so me. You just described me so well. I did think, you've got to work hard to get anything. That's how I was brought up. Work
Yeah.
hard and you'll get results. And actually, to learn to step back and to give myself peace and quiet and space was totally alien to me. And I didn't think it would get me anywhere. But what I have learned and what I love sharing with other people, and I see the change in them, I've learned that actually it's in those peaceful moments, in those quiet moments, that the magic happens. That's when the best ideas come. That's when the universe is providing. As I said earlier, I left a job, I had nothing else to do. I was in this time, I was a bit stressed, like you say, I was a bit stressed, but I was practicing my meditation. I was doing what I needed to do for me, looking after me, which was really important, which I'd learned how to do. And then the magic happened. My business came to me. So I do believe in that, but it's quite hard for people to believe it just because I say so. They need to feel it and they need to try it. So, and it's something I know with you, you talk a lot about how you balance your work life and your family life and your social life. Um, I mean, do you find that? Are you sometimes scared to stop when there's a lot going on?
Oh, yeah. I'm better now, but yeah, it was probably only a year or so ago that I had a holiday where I actually, I'd say, enjoyed 95% of the holiday. Whereas in the
It's
past, a
good.
7-day holiday, the first 4 days, would just sort
Yeah.
of slowly coming down, and then I would enjoy the last couple of days and feel relaxed, and then it'd be fly home.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
would take me so long to switch off because it was so unnatural
Yeah.
to to switch off.
Yeah. Yeah, you're so right, and that's classic, isn't it? I had a client come to me years ago, and he used to say exactly the same. He had to take a 2-week holiday because he needed that time to wind down, and
Yeah.
then he'd spend that, like you say, the last 4 days of the holiday, 4 days to settle down and relax, bit of enjoyment, another 4 days to panic about coming back to reality
Yeah.
and coming back to everything. And on top of all that, and this is a classic as well. So many people say this. When he came back, or on holiday, sometimes he would get a cold, he'd get ill. And actually sometimes that happens when you stop, and this is a cruel bit of it, but it does pass. When you stop, your body goes, oh, they stopped. Now I can do what I need to do. And that sometimes is bring out something that doesn't seem so well, like a cold or something, because you've stopped. And I know that sounds counterproductive, but it is something that if we practice stopping a little bit, is snatching those moments of calm, like I say, a little bit often, rather than pack it all into maybe once a year, maybe twice a year if you're lucky, holiday, then your body is better at resting. They call it rest and digest, don't they? This is when we do our healing and our relaxing, what we need to do for our bodies. So if we can snatch those moments in the day, and find that time, and we can find the time, we can magic time. And meditation is wonderful, isn't it? That it actually, when we practice meditation, there do seem to be more hours in the day. And again, people don't believe me, but when they try it, you're nodding, you know.
It's I remember that. It's that famous Zen saying, everyone should meditate for 5 minutes or 10 minutes a day, unless you're really busy, and then you should do an hour.
I know, I love it.
And when I first heard it, I sort of smiled and sort of joked about it. The more I've tried to do some meditation, and I struggled I had to do 3 minutes. That was literally I couldn't sit still for longer than that,
But that's
it just
good.
wouldn't work. And I've, built up. I'm still, I can probably do 8 minutes tops at the moment. I'm still not brilliant, but it's got better. And actually, I find the rest of my day is more productive, because I think we're all searching to be more productive at work, but the default method is just to do longer hours. But that they don't equate productivity.
No, exactly. And I think there's another cliched saying, isn't there? Work smarter, not harder. And I love that. I love that one too. But you're right. It is that kind of, if you're doing 3 minutes a day meditation, that is brilliant. You don't need to do more. Everything I teach people is quick and simple, because that's how it needs to be. Yes, you can build that practice up to longer time if you like. Most people that work with me, they come back to me later on and go, oh, I do an hour now. They choose to, because they get so much from it. But to start with, it's those little moments and a minute, just take a moment. I sometimes just take a few breaths. I put my hand on my heart, close my eyes, a few breaths, tuning into me, and come back out again. Refreshing. It's wonderful. In the workplace, in a working day, that can be all you need. And that can make such a difference. Like you say, you come back, you almost give yourself a little mini break in the mind. You just go away for a moment, and then you come back refreshed, and you come back renewed with different ideas, and everything just, it's that little take a break for a moment. And that can be, as I say, a minute, even seconds. It doesn't even have to be a minute, but it works. So I'd encourage everyone just to try that, take a moment to see how they feel.
Yeah, I certainly think we are probably getting better at it, and certainly, for myself as a a male in my 40s, I've got to remember growing up, sort of the role models were action heroes and things like that, and people like that didn't meditate and relax. They were out there on a fast car chase and guns blazing, and it felt icky to start with, to almost get in touch with that side of just calming down. But it's crazy how it affects your mind, but also your body, and I can feel the difference in myself from doing these things. And actually, it means my work actually becomes better. I'm better at work from doing it, which, like I say, it seemed counterproductive to take time off to do something for myself. But
yeah, you're absolutely right. And as I say, back in the day when I was needing this, I was so, as I say, resistant to it, because it wasn't talked about. Meditation, mindfulness, that kind of thing wasn't out there. Self-care wasn't, I'd never heard that. As I say, I couldn't do it, didn't know how to do it, but I'd never even heard it. So when I started to need all this, it was totally like another language. And like I say, I didn't, even when I started to find out about it, I didn't want to do it. I saw it as a bit of a weakness. I thought, oh, you're giving up, that kind of thing. It was in me, and I was in a bit of a man's world. I've got to be honest, as I say, it's competitive sales. I was very much push, show your strength, don't show any vulnerability. The world has changed, thankfully. The world has changed.
Yeah.
But obviously I've changed, and like you say, you've changed too. So we can do that. And I think especially in the workplace and as entrepreneurs, we can model that. And I think it's good. The more people that show that they do these things and they do take a break and they make mistakes or they try things and it doesn't work, that is good for everybody, isn't it? To actually
It
share that.
really
So,
is. Yeah. Yeah. I still struggle with it at times.
yeah,
There is still that there's a bit of resistance in me at times, and I have to fight through it.
yeah,
There's times when I'm getting stressed and I know the best thing for me, go for a walk. Yeah, even just sit on the sofa and meditate for a couple. I know that's good for me, but I, I just want to dive in and carry on working. And you sometimes have to force yourself, and it is tough. But I think the
yes.
more you do it, the easier it becomes, which is the same with lots of stuff. The more you do it, the
Everything, yeah.
easier it becomes.
It's making it a habit, isn't it? And fitting it in your
Yeah.
routine. And I really feel I'm the same after all these decades. I'm the same. I still sometimes go, really? If I take a break, is this going to work better? I talk to myself quite a lot. I tell
Yeah.
myself that, I remind myself. But I do find the easiest thing is to have a routine and schedule it in your day, even to the point of writing in my
Mm.
diary, relaxation, meditation, whatever. Um, I've got 2 dogs, so it's easy to have a routine of dog walking. Thank heavens for my doggies because they make that routine a
Yeah.
reality. But anything, it is making it a habit so that you don't have to think about it, and you don't do that battle with yourself, which is waste of time and energy. Because if you're battling with yourself, um, you're not in the right space, and you will come out the right way in the end. But that's something I've had to learn. Don't give myself that battle of time. Just do it. It's a bit
Yeah.
like I always say, never press the snooze button in the morning, because that's exactly the same thing. If you press the snooze button, you think you might be giving yourself 5 or 10 minutes more, but what's going on in your head? What's your energy doing? It's probably just dreading when that alarm goes off again. You're not relaxing. You're not doing anything. So cut to the chase and just get on with it. And actually
Yeah.
you're better. And again, that allows a little bit more time in the day and energy, because for me, it's about energy and being in that lovely positive energy rather than that negativity. And we will get there when we talk to ourselves, but we can make it easier for ourselves, and routines and habits do make it simpler. And as I say, scheduling, write it down if you need to, put post-it notes somewhere or put it in the diary and schedule it. Or
I love the idea of scheduling it in. It's one thing
yeah,
I don't. I schedule lots of my day,
yeah,
in blocks, but it's one thing I don't put in. I only tend to take time for myself when I'm become really busy. I think I've got to. Yeah, I
yes,
sort of.
when you
I
need
probably
to.
do stretch myself. Get those stress levels build up, and then I have to try and force myself. But
Yeah.
actually, I should probably prevent that happening. Would
You
probably
can,
be a
you can.
better
A-
way.
As I said earlier, there's nothing wrong with a bit of stress. Stress is good in the right place at the right time, as long as it doesn't last forever. We're not in that elevated, highly stressed state permanently, as a lot of us are.
Hmm.
To feel a bit of stress and then actually give yourself relax. Again, it's that balance. So going back to that word again,
Yeah.
balancing it. Stress and relax, stress and relax. It's okay to be stressed. Don't be frightened of it. But actually, when you were saying about scheduling, there are apps now, aren't there? I haven't really stepped
Yeah.
into that world that much, but there's that people I talk to, they've got something goes off on their phone to say, oh, I've got to breathe, or I've got to move. Or so we
Yeah.
can, the world supports us in this, doesn't it now? That we
Yeah.
can actually have these things that remind us, or even accountability. If you're in an office or something, just always remember, I do it with drinking water as well. Make sure, remember to drink water, remember to move, remember to breathe, remember to relax. They're all things that actually we should be doing naturally, but we don't, do we? So they're
No.
remembering someone to remind you. People say to me when they work with me on their program, they quite often go, oh, I heard your voice in my head saying something. So remember this, remember that. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing, but if it works, then, people hear my
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah, I guess you got to just take the win, don't you? Yeah.
Exactly.
It was interesting what you were saying about the snooze button there, because I don't use a snooze. My
No,
alarm
no.
goes, I generally get up, but I have heard this from you know almost snoozing is bad because you almost giving away a bit of control right at the start of the
Yes,
day.
yes.
Whereas I like to control. It's a decision. My alarm's gone. Okay, alarm's gone. I'm up and I'm out
Mm,
of bed, and I've
yes.
taken control of
Mm,
my day. And
mm,
don't get me wrong, my alarm doesn't always go, and I think, oh, brilliant, can't wait to get up. It's not like that. But equally, I take control and I get up because
yes.
I set that alarm with good intentions, whether it was because I need to be somewhere, whether it's because I wanted to get a walk in, or whether it was I wanted to go to the gym before work, whatever it is,
Mm.
I've set that with good intentions. So that's
Yes.
the time I
Yeah.
need to get up.
And that's brilliant. That's just what I was describing, wasn't it? You've set that as a habit, a routine, whatever you want to call it. So you don't have that battle with yourself. You just get on and do it because it's your routine. You know that you've done it. I love the fact that you feel that you're in control. We need that. We need that. We need,
Yeah.
I like to say, and it's a bit softer and it's not to criticize or anything, but we choose, we have the choice. We have a
Yeah.
choice because it's big, control. I get that. I really need to be in control of things.
Yeah.
But choice, if you say, well, we've got a choice, you can choose to snooze. You can choose to get up and get on with things. It's your choice. Then people actually go, oh yeah, it's my choice. You look at it in a different way and in a more positive way, like you say. You go, I'm actually choosing to get up. I'm really, someone said to me ages ago, and I love it. Instead of going, I've got to maybe go to the gym or whatever, you change it and go, I get to. And then you've got this
Yeah.
positivity. Yeah, I get to. In my day, I get to go to the gym, not I've got to. That makes such a difference, doesn't it? Just how you phrase things and how you
It,
think about things. So
reframing things is key.
it really works well, doesn't it? And a lot of my work is our mindset, because that's where it starts, isn't it? What's going on in your head, and how sometimes it's important to get out of your busy head. I teach people how to do that so that we're not stuck up there, but also just being mindful of what what you're saying to yourself. I used to be so critical to myself, always giving myself a hard time. And I've changed that. I choose to be kinder to myself. I choose to um, give myself that peace and calm and give myself a choice of what I want to do. And just by saying it in that way to myself makes such a difference. It's not that I'm battling all the time, and that is less stressful. So it works. Get more done.
Yeah. Yeah, getting out of your head is a key one, and again, I still struggle with that. I had a day last week where my morning hadn't quite gone to plan, and I could very easily see that spiraling completely out of control, of losing not just that day, but almost the evening and then the following day, just because I'm beating myself up about it, and
Yeah.
I really struggled that day to switch out of it. I did get back out of it, but it's tough because our head does sort of control us, doesn't it, in a way?
Yes, it does, and very importantly that it does actually. It works,
Yeah,
doesn't it, that
I
way?
guess yeah, I guess
It,
that's
it
yeah.
need it. Don't like stress. We need a bit of it, so it is good.
Yeah.
But again, you've just actually described there something that I was saying earlier. It's like getting, taking, no, recognizing that that's going on for you. You're
Mm,
doing that. You go, oh, actually, I know what's going on. Right. Okay. I can do something about that. And it's recognizing. And then, as I say, so that is the first step, recognizing. You're already there, which is brilliant. Recognizing, learning what to do about it, learning how to release that, even if it's only for a moment. I talk about switching off your busy head a lot. And that sometimes is to notice when the rumination is going on, because that can happen, can't it? We're talking to ourselves in a way
yeah.
that's not positive, and we can change that. Or it can be to change tasks. I sometimes say we need to put a different head on, don't we, when we're doing different things, especially when you're in business. We need to change ourselves and go into something different. And again, with simple like breathing techniques, a little bit of mindfulness, you can change that very, very quickly and very simply, so that you're then coming to whatever you need to be in place in the right frame of mind. And that makes such a difference, doesn't it? It's that little thing. People do it automatically, like putting your shoulders back and just going, right, I'm ready. Your posture makes
Yeah.
the difference, doesn't it? You said earlier to me, listening to my voice, your shoulders drop down and relaxed a bit,
Mm,
that those kind of things. Physically, we can do things to change how we feel as well. And just dropping your shoulders down is one of the very simplest things we can do, because we hunch up when we're stressed, don't we? So
yeah. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
really
And
is.
we relax. Yeah.
Yeah, but that positive, you've probably heard it, the power pose, when you are chest out,
Yeah.
arms back and everything, that standing powerful, or the Wonder Woman pose, if you want to, however you want to look
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
It makes you feel better, doesn't it? These things
Yeah.
really help. So moving as well, as I said, my first dipping my toe into meditation was what I call moving meditation, with Qigong, which is actually a moving, but I was peaceful in my mind, but my body was moving. And that moves emotions too, because we can get very stuck with how we feel, especially when we're dealing with grief or sadness or loss or something, which is something else that I've trained in, because my clients come to me at that time as well quite often. And actually, we need to move those emotions. Sometimes we can hold them really tight. And again, that keeps us stuck and adds lots of stress. So letting those things move, we can physically move them, we can move them with mindfulness as well. And we can give ourselves those peaceful moments, which again, as I say, is where we heal and where we do recognize those emotions. And as I say, releasing, letting things go a little bit, we can let things go. They don't have to stay in our heads or in our bodies, which is so, so powerful.
Yeah, I'm always amazed, just how much we do hold throughout life, whether that's from childhood or a situation that happened as a teenager, and we've all been through awkward teenage years, and
Yeah.
or even those early working years, when a boss might have said a comment about you or whatever. It's amazing how much we hold on to that.
Yeah.
Even if we don't necessarily realize, and it affects how we do certain tasks
Yeah.
or the way we talk to someone or the way we see people who we might think are in power or whatever it is,
Yeah.
the things that we hang on to are phenomenal. And actually, I think some of that is where it ties in with, whether it's imposter syndrome or things like that. Because you said, quite often if I go networking, I'll try and get that pose right, feel good about myself before going in.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
sometimes wonder, it's made me feel better, but then am I being an imposter because that wasn't how I was feeling when I was driving it, because I was a bit nervous, and then your emotions start going
Oh,
everywhere,
yeah.
and it's
With
just
questions. Yeah.
you end up in that circle, and I think it's
Yeah.
a real challenge, and it's also to understand. People talk about telephone manner, and I often put it down to actually we all have different ways of behaving in different situations, but you're still being you. You're just
Yes.
behaving relevant to the situation. The way
Yes.
I would talk in a meeting is different the way than I would talk in the pub watching football with the lads. It's just a different way. It doesn't mean I'm any more or less professional. It's still me.
Yeah.
It's just you're acting in accordance with, I guess, the situation
Yeah.
you're in.
Yeah.
But it is a balance. Yes, trying to work out what's the real me.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And I think, again, imposter syndrome is something I'd never heard of, but we talk about it a lot now, don't we? And again, giving yourself that permission to be whoever you want to be, whenever you want to be. Sometimes we're playful, sometimes we're busy, sometimes we are all of that, aren't we? As a person, how wonderful. Celebrate the fact that we are multifaceted and we can do that and actually step into that. And in sales, I very much was like that. I was a people pleaser at heart. I was brought up that way. But it served me well in sales because I adapted to who I was talking to and it worked really well. But I'd come away sometimes going, oh, what am I doing? Even to the point of sometimes picking up other people's accents. I thought, what am I doing? But I did what I did. I know it's ridiculous, isn't it? But I did what I did. And now I can look back now and be kinder to myself and go, that's what I did in the time it worked. If you go networking and you need to be powerful and confident, do that for yourself. Give yourself that moment. It's okay. It's a part of you and let that out and let that shine. But also know that there's other parts of you. Sometimes you will be quieter. Sometimes you will need to be a little bit more, you're shy or whatever. And we are, and don't you must be the same as me. That the fact, I love the fact of, we're all rounded and that you can know someone and you can see those different sides of them rather than just one side. It's lovely when you know someone all round, isn't it? Do you find that with people?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Completely. And I love I listen to a lot of podcasts as well. And I love hearing people being vulnerable and talking about, whether it's insecurities and things like that. And because it's really interesting to see. And you sort of think, yeah, I get that as well. And I don't mean I love hearing about it because, great. Glad to hear they have suffered. What I mean is that it's like, okay, that's normal, and it's
Yeah.
not just me. Because I
Yeah.
think often we think how I'm feeling is just how I'm feeling. No one else gets this
Yeah.
because no one ever spoke about it. But it's nice to know actually we all have these emotions,
Yeah.
throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the years,
Mm.
and it's perfectly normal. That's what makes us human. The emotions we have attached to things, and
Yeah.
you mentioned their grief and things like that. Yes,
Yeah.
and it does then affect your head, and therefore it can affect your body and. Actually bottling it up doesn't serve any real benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much benefit. Personally, there's a lot of benefit for getting it out, showing it. But also there's benefit, like you say, other people seeing that too and actually going, oh, I can relate. That's a good thing. And I have been tested with that over the last couple of years. And most people that know me know, but I had a cancer diagnosis at the end of 2022. And it brought up, we talked about it earlier, all these patterns and fears and things. It brought up all my
Mm.
childhood old fears, panic and terror and everything. But I recognized that and I thought, right, this is what it is. It's understandable that happened. And I was encouraged by people around me to talk about it. And actually, I have a little bit of a social media platform, so I shared things on there. Personally, it did me so much good to not sit in shame with this, which I would have done, which doesn't make any sense, but I would have done. But to actually share, and the amount of people that have reached out to me, people that I don't even know, that have gone, "Oh, thank you for saying that. That's helped me." So it's given me so much to be vulnerable, like you say, to be able to share, to talk about what I've been going through. And I know it's helped other people. So it's win-win. And I'm very
Yeah.
grateful for that. But the old me wouldn't have done that. But I've changed, and I feel very much that this has, it's a big shock. It changed my world instantly. Lots of things that going on with a cancer diagnosis and going through treatment. But I'm really grateful to all the tools that I had already to help me. I dipped into my calmer self method big time. And the fact that I could talk about it, and as I say, personally, just saying things out loud really helps. It releases emotions. But then getting feedback from people again and knowing that I can help other people, it's really moving for me, and I'm grateful for that. And it's the way
Yeah.
my business has developed that way. I'm passionate now about using my calmer self method to help people with the cancer diagnosis. There's fear, there's terror, there's all sorts of panic that goes on that I know that I can help people with. They can step out of that. I can't cure them, obviously. I'm not medical
No.
profession, but I can help them with those emotions that come up. And actually, when you're going through the treatment, the side effects and the sleepless nights and things like that, my calmer self method helped me when I was going through it. And I now can help other people. And I'm so, so glad that's what I can do.
Yeah, I guess exactly like you said, your body's already going through an incredibly tough time, and then if
Mm,
you've got the additional fear and worries in your head,
mm.
then actually you're sort of adding to it. So
Yeah, yeah.
to be able to relieve some of that
Mm,
actually just gives yourself more headspace, I guess, to be able to deal with
yeah,
what you're
yeah.
going through.
Yeah, exactly. It's not taking away what's happening. The reality is there and it's brutal and it can be awful and it is scary. But I can teach people how to just step out of that for a moment, as I say, to get to sleep, which they need, when you worry and you can't sleep, can you? And that kind of thing. So that is a blessing. I can teach people how to do that because I can do it and I used it all
Mm,
myself. And I'm so glad that I can. So it's lovely and it's just that natural, when you're in business, you know yourself, how your business evolves, things change, your life changes. My business is part of my life, a big part of my life. So that's changed too. And when we talked earlier about stepping back, I wasn't scared of stepping away from my business when I had my diagnosis. I needed to. Going through my treatment
mm.
plan, I needed to step away. And I was confident that my business would still be there when I was ready to come back. And I'm, again, grateful for that because I've changed. Decades ago, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I'd have tried to work through it. And I'm very, very lucky that I could do that with my business, step away and come back. And now with this new passion and direction, if you like, to sort of reach out to people that have had a cancer diagnosis or the people that love and care for them because it affects them too. They worry
Yeah.
too. Perhaps my loved ones, I think, worried more than me about how I was. So to help those people as well, because they don't always ask for help, but they need it just as much as the people that are going through it. So it's taught me a lot.
Yes. Yeah, I can see that. I watched a documentary a couple of weeks ago, and that was a sort of recovering addict, and there was a group for partners and
Yeah. Mm,
kids and things like of those addicts, because
yeah.
actually it's almost like you concentrate on the person who was suffering, but actually other people who care for them
Yeah.
probably worry as much, and probably actually worrying more. The addict wasn't so worried at that point.
Yeah.
And obviously it's
Yeah.
a slightly different situation, but same with a terminal illness or any
Yeah.
sort of serious illness, that the people around you, it's
Mm,
affecting them majorly in a
really.
different way.
Yeah, and it is relatable because in addiction, and people turn to addiction for their own fears and their own reasons, but when someone's in addiction, they are coping in their own way. But the people
Yeah.
around them are suffering the fallout of that, aren't they? And they don't
Mm,
necessarily know how to cope. So it does have that ripple effect. Anything that happens, any life change, anything, any say, well, life throws you a curveball. It does, doesn't it?
yeah.
Life throws things
Yeah.
at us that we're not expecting. And that how we react to that and how we cope with it, it's not just us, is it? We're not in this alone. There's always people around you that do. So it is. And if you watched a documentary and it showed that, then that's really good, isn't it? Because again, people don't know. And I said
No.
earlier, didn't I? Asking for help is really hard to do. But actually, we need to ask for help. And the people who feel, oh, I can't, it's not me that's going through it. I can't ask for help. I don't need it. They feel guilty, don't they? But
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
need help just as much, if not more. So it's really, really important. And again, if you're working and you're running your own business, you have a loved one that's suffering anything, then again, you want help and support and you deserve it and you need it too. So it is important. So a little plea to anyone who's listening or watching this, ask for help. Ask for help. You deserve
Yeah.
it. You need it. It's out there. So that's my little message to everybody.
Do you think that's the key message today? Because there will be people who are listening or watching who have recognised some things today, whether that's in work for themselves, whether that's through the grief they're going through.
Mm, mm.
Well, what would you? Is it talk, reach out? Because then understand you're not the only one suffering with that. I guess.
Yeah, I think that is a big message because, as I say, I wouldn't have done years ago and it was damaging to me. So I would say to anybody, and people will listen to this and it will ring a few little alarm bells. People will go, oh, that's me. And it might make them feel uncomfortable. So for a start, I would say, don't be frightened of your feelings. I used to be so frightened of my feelings. I was
Mm.
addicted to alcohol. I used that to numb down my feelings. That was me years ago. So don't be afraid of your feelings and also share. Talk to somebody, ask for help, ask someone professional if you want to go to someone, or just share it with somebody. Saying it out loud is so helpful. So just sharing it. And something I've learned along the way is that even if you don't know if that person can help you, I used to hide things because I thought, I can't ask for help. I don't know who to ask. I don't know how they can help me. I was trying to make it right myself. That's too much
Yeah.
pressure. I couldn't do that. So I learned, and again, learned the hard way, to actually say, I'm really struggling. I don't even know what the problem is sometimes. I'm struggling. And just to say it to someone, that was relief to start with anyway. But then I was quite surprised how people could help. Sometimes they'd say something to me and it was helpful. Or just that I'd sort of lessen the burden, if you like, by saying something, and just feeling a bit better. And I think that is what I'd like people to just say something to somebody, whoever it is, because that is the start of releasing and letting go and getting that help. And the universe is always listening as well. And I do believe that. That sounds a bit woo-woo, but I do believe
No.
someone will turn up that will help you. The right person will come into your life. I'm a great believer that happens. So yeah, do ask for
Yeah.
help.
I mean, that's interesting. I suppose, when we have these stressful situations or whatever it is, we all need a coping mechanism of some sort. And what you almost touched on there is there are some healthy ones,
Mm,
asking for help, but lots of people default to the ones that, because it's very easy. Traditionally, you can go down the pub or you can buy a bottle of something and
yeah,
slipping into that because you can almost self meditate
yeah, yeah.
rather than asking for help, which felt really tough because, like you say, I mean, I've been the same. I want to keep it all together, don't show any weakness. So
Yes,
you self
yes.
meditate in a
Yeah.
way that's actually negative for your body. And you
Yes.
touched on there,
Yeah.
you turn to alcohol
Yeah, I
because,
did. I did. Yeah. And I didn't see it as negative at all. I thought that's a great coping mechanism. It made me feel good initially. It did, but it did me harm in the long run. And it's not what I turn to now. But actually it's interesting that I did do that. And that was, like you say, it's all of that hiding shame. It's all of that. I can't tell people I'm not coping because there is that stigma, isn't there? But again, we
yeah,
live in a world where much more we can, can't we? But to encourage people to do it, as I say, even if it's just a very close friend, you don't have to like me, put it out there on social media. You don't have to do
No,
that.
no.
But actually, if you can just say to one person, someone you trust, or someone, even if you don't think they can help you, that was my big lesson to learn. Just saying it to someone was really, really helpful. You will laugh at me, but sometimes just saying things out loud to my dogs or a tree or something, it helps. It's a
Yeah.
release, it's that kind of thing.
It's getting it out, isn't it? Yeah.
You don't have to have the perfect person to give you all the answers. It's just that start, isn't it? Of sharing a little bit. And I'm living proof that, I used to hide everything. I had this confident front. Everyone thought I was coping with everything very well. I wasn't. And now I've learned that, it's okay to share that I'm not, and it all gets better when you do. So I'm living proof of that. And I hope that will help people too.
I just loved your message today. It's been so strong. It's been inspiring for me and made me sort of, almost challenged me in a way to sort of know, because I think it's very easy, being, if I'm going to be vulnerable here, I know lots, I speak to lots of people, I listen to lots. Putting it into place for myself is probably the hardest challenge. I almost say, I almost joke, I could give someone else advice. I just don't take it myself. But equally, when I do videos related to some of this, I do try and tell people, by the way, I'm speaking to myself as much as anyone else. I'm not preaching here. I'm reminding myself, because the more I say it, the more I believe it as well. So
me too.
I've really enjoyed what you've been talking about.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who's challenging? Get in touch with you. Would that be a great way to reach out on social media?
Yes, I'm all over social media as Calmer Self. So yes, please, if it's anything's triggered today, please do get in touch, because I don't want anyone struggling on their own. Please do get in touch with me if you want to. I have a little, if it's okay to offer a little, so people can get a taste of what I'm talking about, a little meditation that I'd like to offer to people free if they want to get in touch with me, to my email, which is nadine@calmerself.co.uk. But I'm happy to do that for people. But also, I think it's really important just to take a moment, just try it. Just try it. That's what I'd like people to start with. Just, when you're feeling a bit stressed, if you remember, because it's hard to remember, isn't it? If you remember, just go, I'll just breathe for a moment. I'll just breathe. And people will feel differently instantly. And that is what I love, how people go, oh, they feel it. We can talk about it. You're absolutely right. I'm so lucky in my world now, because this is my life and my business. I'm held accountable all the time. So I say it to people. And then I'm exactly like you just said. Then they go, oh, I remember, I need that for myself. So the clients that come to me are there to remind me. And I'm so, so happy about that. That is my life. And it makes it simple for me. So if you're getting the same from doing these podcasts, then brilliant. Whatever way we get it, don't we? So just really feel that we can just step back for a moment, take a moment, and, as I say, snatch a moment of calm and come back to the busyness. That's fine, but take those moments. That's what I would say to people.
Nadine, thank you so much for your time today and for speaking to me. Your story is fairly inspirational from what you've been through, and take a moment. I think anyone listening, that's got to be the key takeaway. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Balanced Ambition podcast. I genuinely hope the stories inspire you as much as they inspire me. If you found value in today's conversation, please share it with a friend. And remember, by subscribing, you won't miss an episode, and it would truly mean the world to me. Stay balanced, and I'll see you next time.